Exercise 4. Question 1. A bottle of whiskey contains 3/4 whiskey and the rest is water. How much of the mixture must be taken away and substituted by equal quantity of water so as to have half whiskey and half water? Now the standard way of doing this question is to use the formula, which is the fraction of whiskey in the final mixture. Why whiskey? Because we are introducing water, so we will work with the item which is not getting replaced. Fraction of whiskey in the final mixture, let me say F, should be equal to fraction of whiskey in the initial mixture into 1 minus X by V, where X is the quantity of mixture removed, quantity of mixture replaced rather, and V is the volume of the mixture, total volume of the mixture, original volume of the mixture. So as per this, the final one has to be 1 by 2. Originally it was 3 by 4 into 1 minus what fraction do we need to replace? Let's find that. Okay. X upon V is the fraction which has to be replaced. So this implies 1 minus X by V will be equal to 4 by 3 into 1 by 2, which is equal to 2 by 3, which implies X upon V is equal to 1 by 3. So you have to replace 1/3 of the mixture with water. So the answer has to be C, 33%. There is a standard way of doing it, nothing wrong with it, simple formula. But let's look at alternate ways of doing this question also. And let me clean up the slide so that we have some space to work. The second method which you could have applied in this particular question is to apply alligation. We are mixing 75% whiskey with pure water. With pure water, which means 0% whiskey. So you are mixing 75% whiskey with 0% whiskey. I am alligating with respect to whiskey. We can do it with respect to water also, such that the final mixture has 50% whiskey. So this means this is 50. This means this is 20. That means for every 50 liters of the mixture, you should have 25 liters of the water. But how did this water come? This water has come as replacement. That means out of originally 50 plus 25 liters of whiskey plus water, you removed 25 liters of the mixture and added 25 liters of water. Or in other words, the original volume of the mixture was 75 liters, out of which he removed 25 liters of mixture and then mixed 25 liters of water with it. So the quantity or the fraction of mixture which was removed, it was 25 liters out of a total of 75, or it was 1/3, which is equal to 33%. Again, choice C. Let's look at the third way of solving this question. Yes, I have again cleaned the slide so that we have space to solve this question, but let's look at the third way. Let me assume originally you have 100 liters of this mixture, 100 liters of whiskey plus water mixture. In this, whiskey is equal to 75% or 75 liters and water is equal to balance 25 liters. Okay. The question says how much mixture must be taken away and substituted by equal quantity of water so that you have half whiskey, half water. Now the total quantity of the mixture will not change, it will still remain 100 liters because whatever quantity goes out, equivalent quantity of water comes in. Or in other words, what you want is, you want the whiskey amount out of the total 100 liters, you want whiskey to be 50%. Finally, we want whiskey to be equal to 50%. But if whiskey is 50% and the overall quantity of the mixture will always be 100 liters, that means quantity of whiskey should be equal to 50 liters. So my original quantity of whiskey is 75 liters. It has to become 50 liters, or this means this will happen only when 1/3 of the mixture is removed. Look at it this way, 75 liters becomes 50 liters or it becomes 2/3. To become 2/3 implies remove 1/3 or remove 33%. So 1/3 of the mixture should have been removed to get to a 50-50 situation and replaced with water. Okay. So there are different ways of solving the question. Most of the time you will find that formulas are there which you can apply definitely, but most of the time formulas are not the best ways of solving the question. In this particular question, formula was a straightforward item, it should not have been any problem applying it. But look at the other two methods, you could have applied them also. This last method especially is actually an oral method. Out of total of 100 liters of mixture, 75 is whiskey, 25 is water. The total quantity of whiskey or of mixture is constant, and so total quantity of mixture is constant at 100 liters, because whatever quantity of mixture goes out, equivalent quantity of water comes in. We want that the quantity of whiskey in the final mixture to be 50 liters. If the quantity of whiskey in the final mixture has to be 50 liters, that means 1/3 of the mixture should be removed. 75 will become 50 when 1/3 of that is removed. So to remove 1/3 of whiskey, you will need to remove 1/3 of the mixture. Correct answer becomes 33%. Let's move to the second question. Question 2. A man covered a total distance of 1000 kilometers in 16 hours, partly in a taxi at 36 kilometers per hour and partly in a bus at 80 kilometers per hour. The distance covered by the bus is approximately which of these? This is a time speed distance question, but you can again do alligation. How? You are mixing a speed of 80 kilometers per hour, which is the speed of bus, with a speed of 36 kilometers per hour, which is the speed of taxi, such that your average speed is 1000 kilometers in 16 hours. 1000 kilometers covered in 16 hours, which is equal to 62.5 kilometers per hour. So when you do part of the journey at 80 kilometers per hour, part of the journey at 36 kilometers per hour, your average speed is 62.5 kilometers per hour, as per the question. Or in other words, you are mixing 80 kilometers per hour and 36 kilometers per hour to get an average speed of 62.5 kilometers per hour. So applying alligation again, this is 17.5 and this is 26.5. Or this ratio becomes 265, let's say 2653 is to 35. Now what is this 53 is to 35? This is the ratio of time. This is the ratio of time, which means for every 35 hours spent in the taxi, the person spent 53 hours in the bus. So we need to find the distance covered by the bus. So how much time was spent in the bus? Out of a total of 53 plus 35. 53 plus 35, out of a total of 88 hours, 53 hours was spent in the bus. So fraction of time in the bus, fraction of time spent in the bus is 53 by 88 into 16, which will be equal to equal to 8 11s 8 2s, which is 106 upon 11. So many hours were spent on the bus. But what was the speed of the bus? The speed of the bus is 80 kilometers per hour. We know that speed is equal to distance upon time, or distance is equal to speed into time. So the time is 106 by 11 hours. So distance covered by the bus will be, speed is 80 into 106 by 11. What does this come out to be approximately? I can say this is about 11 1s are 11, 11 9s are 99, 7. This is, let's say, about 9.5. So 95 into 8. So which is about 760. So among the choices, I will go with 770 kilometers. So it's about 760 plus. Because I have taken it to be 9.5, it should be more than 9.5 actually. Okay. If you want, you can do the exact calculation. But the key thing out here was this particular thing, that this is effectively a question of alligation, wherein you are mixing a speed of 36 kilometers per hour with a speed of 80 kilometers per hour, such that the average speed is 1000 by 16 kilometers per hour, 62.5 kilometers per hour. And what this is the ratio of? This is the ratio of time spent in bus to the time spent in taxi. Supposing the question had asked what was the distance covered by the taxi, again we would have done the same thing. Time spent in taxi is 35 by 88 into a total of 16. So distance covered by taxi into the speed of the taxi. Obviously, if you have found one The other should be found by difference. But you need to understand alligation, this is kilometers per hour, so this has to be the ratio of hours. Okay. So this is the key thing in this particular question. Alligation can be applied, and when you do an alligation of speed, you get the ratios of time. Please remember that you get a ratio of time when you do an alligation of speed. Let's move to the next question. Question 4. An alloy of copper and tin contains 77.78% copper. After 18 kg of tin is added, the copper content gets reduced to 50%. How much copper and tin respectively does the new alloy have? Now this is a question of alligation. You are mixing an alloy of copper and tin with pure tin. Okay. So technically speaking, you could start off by saying that the alloy, let's take the alloy, has 77.78% copper. It is being mixed with tin. Okay. Tin has 0% copper. Okay. Tin has 0% copper. And when it is mixed, it becomes 50% copper. And then you can alligate and get the answer. However, I am sure this number 77.78% would be a problem with you. Hence, you would be better off, rather than working with number 77.78, if you remember that 1 by 9 is 11.11%. So 7 by 9 is equal to 77.77 or 77.78%. So you would be better off saying, instead of 77.78%, let me write it as 7 by 9. So when you are alligating, you are mixing 7 by 9 of copper, this is the one from the alloy, with 0 of copper, this is pure tin, this is pure tin, and when you mix both of them, you end up with 50% copper and 50% tin. Okay. So this will be 7 by 9 minus 1 by 2, and this will be 0 minus 1 by 2. 0 minus 1 by 2 is not a problem. 7 by 9 minus 1 by 2, you can write 7 by 9 as 14 by 18. Why am I writing as 14 by 18? Because 18 is the LCM of 9 as well as 2. So I will write not 1 by 2, but I'll call it 9 by 18. Similarly, 7 by 9, I would rather write it as 14 by 18. So the difference here becomes 5 by 18. And 1 by 2 effectively means nothing but 9 by 18. So I can say the ratio of alloy to pure tin is 9:5. Or in other words, since we have been told there's 18 kg of tin, you should take it for 18 kg of tin, the quantity of alloy would be 9 by 5 into 18, which will turn out to be, this is 9 by 5 again. From a calculation perspective, I can write it as 18 by 10. So this becomes, instead of 9 by 5 into 18, there is 18 by 10 into 18, which is 18 square by 10, which is 32.4. So you have 32.4 kg of alloy, 18 kg of tin, and you can find the answer from here. However, let's look at a few possible shortcuts which were there. Okay. Let me just erase the board so that we have some space for working. Great. Now what we have calculated here is that ratio of the weight of alloy to tin is 10. For every 5 kg of tin, you need to have 9 kg of alloy. Or for 18 kgs of tin, you should have 9 by 5 into 18 kgs of alloy, which I would write as not 9 by 5 but as 18 by 10, because 18 into 18 is a square which is easy to calculate, and division by 10 is easy. But this consists of both copper as well as tin. So the amount of copper in it will be 7 by 9 into 18 by 10 into 18, and amount of tin in this alloy will be 2 by 9 into 8 by into 18 by 10, into 18. Obviously, you should not be calculating both of them. You should be calculating one of them and subtracting from here, or if you do not calculate this at all, then obviously you can calculate both of them. And the amount of tin out here will be, so the alloy gives us so much of copper and tin. The amount of copper in pure tin is 0. The amount of tin in pure tin is 18 kg. So the total amount of copper and tin you can calculate. This is this plus this plus this. Great. Okay. So we could have got the answer this way. Okay. Let us now look at an alternate way of solving this question. I have cleaned the slide so that we have some space for working. The question says that after 18 kg of tin is added, the copper content in the alloy gets reduced to 50%. That means while the old alloy had copper and tin in the ratio of 7/9 to 2/9, in the new alloy, the ratio of copper to tin is 1/2 is to 1/2, or it is a 50-50 item, 50% copper and 50% tin. Now, which also implies that the quantity of copper in the new alloy should be equal to quantity of tin. Or in other words, if you would have noticed the choices along with the question, you would not need to do any calculation. Choice A is incorrect because the quantity of copper in tin is not equal. Choice B again is incorrect for the same reason. Choice C again, the quantity of copper in tin is not equal. And similarly for choice D, hence the correct answer is choice C. It is extremely important that you look at the choices, you read the choice along with the question. In this particular question, all those calculations which we did in the earlier method were useless. They were not required because the choices are such that you can get the answer without even doing any bit of calculation. Let's move on to the next question now. In a mixture of 35 liters, the ratio of milk to water is 4:1. If 7 liter water is added to the mixture, the ratio of milk to water changes to a new ratio. If we want the ratio of milk to water to change back to the original value, how much milk is to be added now? We'll read the question again. I am sure many of you are confused. Okay, let's read the question, and as we read, let's start writing down. In a mixture of 35 liters. So it's a 35 liter mixture of milk and water. The ratio of milk and water is 4:1. So it is 4:1. So I can say in these 35 liters, quantity of milk and quantity of water is 7, 1/5, and quantity of milk is 28 liters. Okay. So let me write it. Okay. If 7 liter of water is added, so what are you adding? Another 7 liter of water is added. The ratio of milk to water changes to a new ratio. So the quantity of water still remains, milk still remains 28, water becomes 14, so this becomes 28:14 and total is 42. So it becomes 1/3 water and 2/3 milk. From a 4:1 it becomes 2:1. If we want the ratio of milk to water to change back to the original value, how much milk should be added? Now if you want the original ratios there, that means since my original ratio was 4:1, and if I want to maintain this ratio, that means for every 1 liter of water I should keep adding 4 liters of milk. So how much of water we have added? We have added 7 liters of water. So you should have 7 into 4 liters of milk. What you need to remember is, if you mix two 4:1 mixtures, the ratio will not change. It will still be 4:1. Similarly out here, since we want the original ratio to be maintained, original ratio is 4:1. That means for every 1 liter of water which you add, you should have 4 liters of milk. Since you are adding 7 liters of water, you should have 7 into 4 liters of milk, or 28 liters of milk should be added now. The correct answer is now choice B. Question 7. A milk vendor sells 33 liters milk containing milk and water in the ratio of 12:1. Okay, so 12:1 is milk and water in the ratio of 12:1, and the total quantity is 33 liters. If he wants this to make an 11:2 solution of milk and water and to sell the entire quantity at cost price, how much water needs to be added? Okay. He wants to convert this 12:1 to another mixture which is 11:2. You can do this question again by alligation. What are we doing? We will be mixing 12/13 of milk with water. He is going to add water. So with 0 water, such that the average comes out to be 11 by 13. So what is the ratio of quantities? This is 11 by 13 and this is 1 by 13. That means for every 11 liters of the original mixture, you need to add 1 liter of water. So the original mixture, for every 11 liters of original mixture, you need to add 1 liter of water. But we have 33 liters originally, that is what the question told us. So you should add 3 liters of water. So the correct answer, choice A. Let us look at an alternate way of doing this question. Again, I'll go back to saying that percentage of milk into quantity of mixture is equal to quantity of milk. Now since you are going to be adding water, he wants to by adding water. Okay. Since you will be adding water, the quantity of milk will not change. So there is no change in this. So whatever is the percentage change in this, in the percentage of milk, the reciprocal should be there in the quantity of the mixture. So what is the original percentage of milk? Originally there was 12 by 13. Finally it becomes 11 by 13. So what has happened to the quantity or percentage of milk? It has become 11 by 13 upon 12 by 13 times, which means it has become 11 by 12 times. The percentage of milk has become 11 by 12 times. That means quantity of milk should become 12 by 11 times. Which means if originally there were 11 kg milk, now there should be 12 kg, or for every 11 kg, 1 kg water has been added. For every 11 kg of milk, originally 11 kg of the milk water mixture, 1 kg has been added. Originally there were 33 kg, so you should be adding 3 kg, or the final should be 36 kg, or 3 kg of water has to be added. Correct answer, liters. I am sorry I used the term kg when everywhere it is liters, so I should have used the term liters. Next question. Nupul has 73 liters wine in a drum. She replaces 3.65 liters with water and keeps doing so till the time the concentration of wine is less than 85%. The minimum number of operations that Nupul has to perform. You can solve this question by applying your formula. Final percentage should be equal to initial into 1 minus x by v raised to power n. You have a similar formula, so some of the terms might be different for some of you. But what is this? This is the final percentage of wine in the mixture. This is the initial percentage of wine in the mixture. As per the question, we want the final percentage to be minimum of 85, maximum of 85%, because it says the final concentration of wine is less than 85%. Okay, this should be equal to, so and initial is given to us as 100%. Nothing specified, so it is, I'll assume it to be 100%. She has 73 liters wine in drum. She replaces it with water. So initial is 100%. Final has to be less than 85%. X is given to us as 3.65. V is 73. So one thing you could do is straight away, this is 0.85 or 85% is equal to 100% into 1 minus 3.65 upon 73 raised to power n, which is nothing but 0.85 into 1 minus 10% of 73 is 7.3, 3.65 hence becomes 5%. 1 minus 0.05 raised to power n. Okay, I'm sorry, yeah. Now you or 0.85 is equal to 0.95 raised to power n. What is the value of n you need to find? Substitute and get the answer. Alternately, even without the formula, you could have done the question. Okay. Because every time you remove 3.65 liters of wine, you are reducing it by 5%. Every time you remove 3.65 liters of the mixture in the drum, you are reducing the quantity by 5%, or every component goes down by 5%. So originally it is 100%. After the first operation, it will become into 0.95 because 5% has been removed, so it becomes 95%. After the second operation, another 95% is removed, so it becomes another 0.95. After that, another 0.95. So this effectively, how many times do you need to do is the question. Or in other words, the question is, every time you are moving 5% or you are retaining 95%, it is a discount of 5%. So the question could also be rephrased as, how many successive discounts of 5% will be more than 15%, because if you have to go to final of 85%, that means it should reduce by at least 15%. You want a reduction of at least 15%. Two successive discounts of 5% will be A plus B plus A by 100, where discount is there, so it should be minus 5 minus 5. So the answer has to be 4, because 3 successive discounts of 5% will be less than, slightly lesser than 15%, and the fourth one will give you the answer. But coming back to this question, while you could apply this formula, you could also remember that this is nothing but the question effectively of successive discounts. Question 11. The ratio of sum of squares of first n natural numbers to the square of sum of first n natural numbers is 17 is to 325. What is the value of n? Okay, so what is the sum of the squares of the first n natural numbers? Sum of the squares of the first n natural numbers is n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 by 6. And sum of first n natural numbers? Sum of first n natural numbers is n into n plus 1 by 2, and since we need the square, this will have to be squared again. So the question says the ratio of these two is 17 is to 325. What is the value of n? Substitute. Let's just put that in place and check out. So we have n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 upon 6 divided by, this is n square into n plus 1 whole square upon 4. This, as per the question, has to be 17 upon 325. Okay. So this becomes, this n and this n square get cancelled out, the square part cancelled out, this n square and this n plus 1 cancel out. So this becomes 2n plus 1 upon n into n plus 1 is equal to, and this will be 17 into 6 upon 325 into 4. Once you simplify this 4 will go into the numerator, and hence it will be multiplied with 325, and similarly for the other one. Okay. Now this is equal to, this is equal to 751, because 3 2 3s are 6 and 2 2s are 4 upon 650. Okay. So effectively we get an equation which says 2n plus 1 upon n into n plus 1 is equal to 51 upon 650. Now the normal tendency is to solve this quick equation. Please do not waste your time solving the equation, substitute the choices. And what should be visible to you is, in the numerator you have 51. 51 is 17 into 3. Look at, and 51 and 650, they do not have any common factor. So which choice gives you 51 in the numerator? Most probably that should be the answer. Choice A will not give you 51. Choice B can give you 51. Choice C is 35 into 271. Not possible. Similarly, this not possible. The answer has to be either B or none of these. Okay. Substitute and verify. Once you put n equal to 25 in 2n plus 1, so 2n plus 1 upon n into n plus 1, put n equal to 25, this becomes 51, and the denominator is 25 into 26, so that is also 650. Correct answer, choice B. So the rule to be followed is, when you make an equation, please substitute the choices. Don't get down to solving the equation. Solving the equation is a waste of time most of the time, you will find. Don't waste your time solving equation. Look at substitution of choices once you have formed the equation. Next question. Each tree in a forest houses at least one bird. On half the number of trees there are 2 sparrows. On 1/4 of the remaining there is 1 pigeon each. and the rest that house 4 birds each were cut off for factory use. If there were 630 birds in the forest, how many trees were cut? Now this is not a difficult question, but many times I find students getting confused or bogged down by the calculation. Let us see what should be done in this question. Each tree in a forest houses at least one bird. Half the number of trees, there are 2 sparrows each. So half the number of trees has 2 sparrows each. On 1/4 of the remaining, 1/4 of the remaining means 1/4 of the remaining half, which means 1/8. There is 1 pigeon each, and on the rest. So 1/4 of half has gone, so 3/4 of half is what is left, which is 3/8. So in this question, to begin with, do not assume the number of trees to be x. The biggest mistake which is committed in this question is people assume the number of trees to be x, which gets them into decimals and fractions and makes your life difficult. Since we are looking at half, then 1/4 of half, which is 1/8, you will be safer for you to say let the number of trees be 8x. If the number of trees are 8x, on 4x trees there are on half the number of trees 2 sparrows. 2 sparrows each. So total number of sparrows is 8x. On 1/4 of the remaining, 4x have gone, 4x are left then, so 1/4 of that will be x. On 1/4 of the remaining there is 1 pigeon each. They have 1 pigeon, which means another x birds. These are the sparrows and the pigeons. And the rest that house, what are the rest? 3x. How much did they house? They housed 4 birds each. A cutoff for factory use. So 4 birds each, so that means 12x. How many trees were cut off? How many trees were cut off? There has to be a multiple of 3. The number of trees that are cut off cannot be these 3, it has to be either A or D. We are stuck here, so we need to solve it completely. But to begin with, I hope you understand that if the number of trees is 3x, my answer should be a multiple of 3. Okay. So total of 12x. So total number of birds is 21x. And as per the question, the total number of birds is 630, which should be 21x. So 21x is equal to 630, or x is equal to 30. So the total number of birds has to be, total number of trees that have been cut off has to be 3 into 30, which is 90. Such questions, please look at the fractions carefully and do not straight away go and say let the number of trees be x. That is not a right approach to work with. Look at a number which will make your calculations easier, which will allow you not to get bogged down by decimals or fractions. Which is why in this, because we had half, then we had 1/4 of half, which is 1/8. I said let us take the number of trees to be 8x. Next question. In a cage, there are sparrows, parrots and doves in the ratio of 3:7:5. Sparrows, parrots and doves in the ratio of 3:7:5. If the number of parrots was more than the number of sparrows by a multiple of both 9 and 7, that means by a multiple of 63. A multiple of both 9 and 7 means a multiple of 63. What is the number of birds in the cage? First of all, since the ratio of sparrows to parrots to birds is 3:7:5, I can say this will be 3x, this will be 7x, this is 5x. So the total number of birds will be 15x. So my starting point will be to say that the number of birds should be a multiple of 15. The minimum number of birds or the number of birds has to be a multiple of 15. Hence choice C and choice D are incorrect. Okay, now let's look at the next thing. It says if the number of parrots was more than the number of sparrows by a multiple of 63. Parrots are 7x, sparrows are 3x. So parrots are more than the sparrows by 4x, which is a multiple, which has to be a multiple of 9 and 7 or a multiple of 63. So x can only be 63 into k by 4, or minimum value of k has to be 4. So if minimum value of k is 4, x will be 63. So the total number of birds will be 15 into 63. So 15 into 63 is 945. Correct answer, choice A. Let's move to the next question. Question 20. A, B, C started a business in which B and C were sleeping partners. They invested rupees 4,000, 3,000, 7,000 respectively. So A did 4,000, B did 3,000, C did 7,000. For a period of 1 year, A is paid 10% of the profit as compensation for his work, and the rest is shared in the ratio of their investment among the three. If A gets 6,000 as a share of profit, find out the amount that B and C together receive. Let me assume in this question that the total profit is 100 rupees. Okay. So A will get 10% of 100 total profit to 100 rupees. So A will get 10% of this on account of compensation because he is the working partner. So 10 rupees he will get. So compensation for A is 10 rupees, and in other words, it is this 90 rupees which will be split between A, B and C as a share of the profit in the ratio of 4:3:7. Why? Because they have invested 4,000, 3,000, 7,000 for a period of 1 year. Okay, so let us first check out what is the share of A, and the remaining obviously out of the 100 will be the share of B. So A will get 10 rupees on account of working. That is his compensation for work. Okay. He is a working partner. Of the balance 90 rupees, he will get 4 out of 14. So the ratio A plus B plus C is 14. So out of the total of 14, A will get 4 out of 14. So into 4 by 14. Or out of the total share, total 100 rupees of profit, A will get this much, which adds up to 10 plus 2 7s plus 180 by 7. 10 I can write it as 70 by 7. Just to make my task easy, I am writing this as 70 by 7 plus 180 by 7, which is 250 by 7. So this is the amount which will be received by A. So what is the amount received by B plus C together? Out of the total profit of 100, A has received 250 by 7. So B plus C should receive 100 minus 250 by 7, which is equal to 700 minus 250, which is 450 by 7. So I can say the ratio of amount received by A to B plus C will be 250 by 7 is to 450 by 7, which is nothing but 25:45 or 5:9. So out of the total amount of 100 rupees, 5 by 14 will go to A. Out of a total amount of 100 rupees, A will get 5 by 14 of 100, and B plus C together will get 9 by 14 of 100. So if A has received 6,000, how much have B and C received? So just to get back to the question, we found that ratio of amount received by A to B plus C is 5:9. So if A receives 5 rupees, B plus C will receive 9 rupees. If A rupees 1 rupee, they will get 9 by 5. But A has, as per the question, received a total of 6,000 rupees. So B plus C should get 9 by 5 into 6,000, which is nothing but 6,000 upon 5 is 1200, 12 into 9, 1,000, 10,800. Correct answer, choice D. Okay. The key for this question is here. Find out what is the total quantity or the total amount to be received by A. 100 minus that should be the amount received by B. So just to repeat, total profit I assume it to be 100 rupees. On account of working, A will get a compensation of 10 rupees, and the balance 90 rupees has to be distributed between A, B, C in the ratio of 4:3:7. Or in other words, out of the total remaining profit of 90 rupees, A will get 4 by 14 of 90. So the total amount received by A is 10 plus 4 by 14 of 90, which adds up to 250 by 7. So out of 100 rupees of total profit, A receives on account of his share in profit and compensation for working an amount equal to 250 by 7. Since out of 100, A has received 250 by 7, B plus C together will receive 100 minus 250 by 7. So here we get the ratio quantity amount received by A and B plus C is in the ratio of 5:9, and then you can calculate the amount received by B plus C together. Question 23. The population of a town is 3,11,250. Ratio of number of men to women is 1,075:1,000. There are 24% literates among men and 8% literates among women. What is the total number of literate people in the town? Approximately what percentage of the people in town are illiterate? Okay, so the total population of the town is 3,11,250. Ratio of men to women is 1,075:1,000. And what is the literacy rate in each for the two categories? The number of literates among men and women. There are 24% literates among the men and 8% literates among the women. Or if I look at illiterates, then it is 76% and 92%. What is the question? Approximately what percentage of the people in town are illiterate? Look at the choices. The percentage of men who are illiterate is 76%. Percentage of women who are illiterate is 92%. Your answer has to lie between 76 and 92% only. Among the choices, choice A is incorrect because it is less than 76. B again is less than 76% illiterate, incorrect. D also is incorrect. Your answer will be either choice C or choice D, choice C or choice E, because if 83.75% lies between 76 and 92, so this could be the answer. Otherwise, the answer has to be none of these. Okay. So now you can either take a chance and mark C as the answer or do the complete calculation. But even there, most probably C would be correct. Let's look at why. See, the ratio of men to women is 1,075:1,000. So the ratio of illiterates, which is 76%:92%, will be closer to 76%. If the ratio of men to women was 1:1, then the average illiteracy rate would have been the midpoint of these two, 76 and 92, which is 84%. If the ratio of men to women was 1:1, then my answer should have been 84% illiterate among the entire population. But it is slightly better than 1:1, so my answer should be slightly lesser than 84%, hence 83.75 appears to be correct. At this point of time, it's a question of taking a chance, and people like me would be willing to take that chance, mark this and move on. Some of you who cannot do that, best advice to do the calculation and find out. But I can assure you this is a lengthy calculation, so if you are doing the calculation, do not hesitate to write down and do it completely. Okay. So just to quickly give you a direction towards the calculation, the ratio of 1,075:1,000 is equivalent to 43:40. 25 into 40 is 1000, so for 25 into 43 will be 1075. So what is the percentage of literate or illiterate, whichever you want to find out? It is 40. I will go for percentage literates because these are smaller numbers as compared to percentage illiterates. So the average percentage literacy rate for the entire population will be 43/83 into 24 on account of men plus 40/83 into 8 on account of women. Find this, get the answer accordingly. Once you get this literacy rate, 100 minus this would be the illiteracy rate. Most probably this should be the choice C should be the answer, but some of you, as I said, will need to calculate and get the answer. Question 24. In a factory, men, women and children were employed in the ratio of 8:5:1 to finish a job. Their individual job wages are in the ratio of 5:2:3. When 20 women were employed, total daily wages amounted to 318 rupees. Find the total daily wages paid to each category. Now the data given to us is the ratios are given. Let's look at this. The ratio of number of people. Okay, so we have men, you have women, you have children. Let's see ratio of numbers. Number of people employed. Ratio of number of people employed is in the ratio is 8:5:1. The next is the ratio of their wages. Ratio of the individual wages. Ratio of the wages or wages of men, women and children in the ratio of 5:2:3. So what will be the ratio of total wages? Ratio of total wages will be nothing but 8 5 is 40 is to 10:3, because numbers into daily wage gives me the total wage. So total wages will be nothing but the product of these two ratios. So 8 into 5 40 is to 10:3. So to me the first thing which is visible out here is that among the choices I will be looking for the first number to be the 4 times the second number. If the first number is not 4 times the second number, that choice is incorrect. This is okay. 240 is 4 times 60, okay. 380 is not 4 times 318, so choice C is incorrect. Similarly, choice D is incorrect because these two do not match. Second, I will check out for the other numbers. Which are the other numbers? The other number obviously is that children to women, the total should be 3.33 times. It is 10 by 3. Now, choice A is incorrect because 70 is less than 110, while it should have been women. The total for women has to be greater than the total for children. So, this is incorrect. Cannot be determined, in any case ruled out. One choice left, that becomes the answer. Another thing you could have checked out was the summation of the choice. If it is not equal to 318 is incorrect. Okay. This does not add up to 318. So, you could have even said, let me just clean up the slate. So in this question you could even have said the total wages have to amount to 318. Any choice which is not equal to 318 has to be incorrect. So choice C is definitely incorrect. Choice A is again 270, 350. No, this is not adding up to 318, incorrect. This is adding up to 318. 200, this is adding up to 318. Okay. And again between these two we just calculate men to women to children. The ratio of total wages is 40:10:3. So choice this is incorrect. E in any case is incorrect. So when you have these data with you, your first task should be to eliminate choices based on whatever little data which you have. Okay. Question 26. Average age of the members of a club increases to 27 when 3 more persons whose average age is 29 join them from 26. What is the number of the members in club now? Let us apply deviation method. Originally there were X people in the club and their average age was 26. Originally X people had an average age of 26. It says it increases to 27 when 3 more persons whose average age is 29 join. So 3 more people whose average age is 29 have joined them. It has gone up from 26. Originally it was 26, now it has gone up to 27. What is the number of members in the club now? Again look at the average age now is 27. Let's apply deviation method. The deviation in this case is -1 into x, which is equal to -x. And deviation out here is 2 into 3, 6. Or I can say x minus x plus 6 should be equal to 0 because sum of deviation has to be 0, so x is equal to 6. So originally there were 6 people in the club, 3 more people have joined, so the total number becomes 9. As you would have noticed, deviation method is a very powerful tool available to cut down your calculations. Question 27. The ratio of spirit and water in a mixture is 1:3. If the volume of the solution is increased by 25%, What is resultant ratio of spirit and water by adding spirit only? Okay. Volume has become 5 by 4 times. Volume increased by 25%, which implies it becomes 5 by 4 times. It becomes 5 by 4 times the original volume. So what should this do to the percentage? Percentage of which one? Percentage of the item which has not been added. What has been added? What has added in this mixture is spirit. You have added spirit to this. So we look at percentage of water. So percentage of water should become 4 by 5 times of the original. So what is the original percentage of water? Originally water in the mixture was 1 by 4. Sorry, ratio of spirit and water is 1:3. Originally spirit to water was 1:3, or originally water was 3/4 of the total mixture. Since the volume has become 5 by 4 times due to addition of spirit, percentage of water should become 4 by 5 times. So the new percentage of water will be 3 by 4 into 4 by 5, which is nothing but 3 by 5. So what should be the new ratio of spirit to water? This is water to total. That means for every 3 liters of water there should be 2 liters of spirit. So spirit of water now becomes 2:3. Choice A. Okay. You can try doing this question by alligation also. In terms of alligation, you will be mixing 1/4 spirit with 0% spirit, such that the average is X. You don't know the average, so alligation was the wrong thing suggested by me. You should be using weighted average. Okay. So it is a weighted average. You use alligation only if you need to find the ratio of quantities. In this question, ratio of quantities is given because it says original volume, if it is 100 liters, additional added is 25 liters.